Hey, welcome to my 5 minutes debt management masterclass. Yes, are you troubled that you have a high debt profile? I'm going to share with you 3 costly and deadly mistakes that those who take a loan or who are indebted to either a person or an organization make that mess up their life. Debt can be a burden and debt can be a blessing. It depends on the information that you have that determines if debt is meant to help you or will haunt you and hurt you. Now, these 3 mistakes is common from my experience, a decade experience in banking. I've come to terms with these 3 mistakes that majority of those who take a loan make when it is time for repayment. Debts are not bad, but when we mismanage debts, then they become bad and hurt and haunt us. Right? If you can avoid debt, why not? Some people say everybody owes, even the government owes, right? Credit is meant to relieve, the stress of doing business. Credit is meant to enhance capital for doing business better, right? But a lot of people take loans for different reasons. They lie about the loan that they take, or they are indisciplined about managing the loan. But these are the 3 common mistakes that they make. Number 1 is that they begin to avoid, they are unfaithful to their repayment plan. And then number 2 is they begin to avoid the creditor, right? They begin to avoid the bank or the person they are indebted to. And then number 3 is that they are overwhelmed by the volume. Some people have multiple loans. They want to use one particular loan to pay off the other, right? Not knowing that they'll be shooting themselves in the leg. That's the 3 mistakes I've observed. Number 1 is the fact that they are unfaithful to their repayment plan. And number 2 is that they mismanage the relationship between them and the person they are indebted to. And then number 3 is that they focus more if they want to use one debt to pay the other one. So they focus more on the volume of debt rather than the rate at which the debt is multiplying or increasing. So here's what to do if you want to avoid these 3 mistakes, or you're already making these 3 mistakes. Now, this is what you can do. Number 1 is to establish a good relationship with the person that you are indebted to or the organization. Don't avoid their calls. Show up. In fact, become their friends. If there's any reason for you not to be able to meet up with your repayment due, when they are due, show up with what you have. What is most important to the bank or the person you're indebted to is your sincerity and your consistency, right? If you're indebted to the bank to a tune and your repayment plan is probably 50,000 per month. If you don't have 50,000 that particular month, it is 25 or 30,000 that you have. Come make the payment for 30,000, right? You are showing up and you're consistent with repayment. You have a character. And then number 2 is the fact that the idea of using one particular loan to repay the other. Some are indebted to this person. You want to rob Peter to pay Paul. That is a bad strategy for debt management. It will get so complicated and you'll be overwhelmed. Then number 3 is the fact that you're focusing on the value and not the rate at which your indebtedness is accumulating. If you're owing somebody, or maybe you have 2 loans forever, or you're indebted to 2 people. One person you're owing 100,000 and the other person you're owing probably 50,000. Now let's look at it this way. If the rate on the 100,000 is 20% and the rate on the 50,000 is 10%, which one grows faster? Which one should you consider repayment faster? You should focus on the one that has the higher rate than the other one. So the one that is increasing at 20% will grow faster. So if you are paying down any of the two loans, you should focus on paying down the one with the higher what rates, not the one with the volume. It's not the volume, the rate at which it compounds is what really matters. So if you're owing 50,000 naira, for instance, simple basic mathematics, you're owing 50,000 and 100,000, and the 100,000 is at 5% and the 50,000 is at 20%, right? If you have 20,000 to repay, it's better you pay part of the 50% than to pay 20% to the person you're owing 100. Why? The burden of debt will reduce and you have a clear head to be able to do what? To be able to attend to the 100 when you have reduced the burden of what? The 50,000. So if 20% on 50,000 will give you 10% increase, so your money increases after 1 month default, your money will go up to 60,000, right? And then if the debt of 100,000 is at 5%, right? After 1 month default, your rate, your amount due increases to 105. Why this increases to 60,000? Now, if you pay down 20,000 here, you would have 30,000 by the end of what? The next. So your total amount of debt is 135,000. But if you pay down 20% from the 100,000, this is what happens, right? You would have 60,000 here that at the end of the first month of default, and then you would have what? 80,000 at 5%, 1,600. So you have 81,600 plus 60,000. That is what? 141,000 amount due on both sides. So to a large extent, your mathematics is important when you are indebted. Financial literacy or financial education is not something that you should be ignorant of if you are indebted. The moment it has to do with money, financial literacy is the foundation, is the pillar that will save you from misery or being messed up. So to a large extent, debt is not a burden, but can become one if it is not properly managed. So your level of awareness is critically important, right? So you must avoid those 3 deadly and costly mistakes that a lot of people make, and then it messes them up. It would mess them up psychologically, he will mess them up what? Financially, and it will mess them up what? Socially. Their relationship goes bankrupt, their finances will what? Also be messed up, and their reputation will also what? Be battered, right? So, and when all this happens to you, to a large extent, is going to choke your ability to be able to pay, and then you lose your credit worthiness. So my name is Julius Afolabi, and I thought to share this with you, and I know it's going to help someone out there.